Off the back of Venom 2018 and Venom, the big red Venom from 2021.
Oh,
Mason.
gooey already a Venom.
Oh, yeah. And the first one was also gooey and a different color.
That's right.
Yeah. He's not fighting a Venom in this one, though, is he?
No.
For the most part.
Yeah, I guess.
Who
is he fighting? It's tough to say.
Spiders or something. We got Venom 3, The Last Dance.
That's right.
Oh, I forgot to put the budget in. Give me 1 second.
I'm going to say $70 million.
I'm going to agree with you.
Now, this one is directed, first-time director...
Kelly Marcel.
Who wrote the previous 2 movies.
Yes, and some other stuff. Budget $120 million.
Damn, we were way off.
Yeah.
Looks bad.
You must have paid that horse a lot of money.
A lot of oats.
She
probably went to Oats Studio.
That's good. Well, this makes sense. She was a script editor on Bronson, which is one of the early Tom Hardy breakout roles.
Oh, right, okay.
She also wrote 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Oh, also she got uncredited script work thanks in credit on Mad Max Fury Road, so that's good.
Okay.
And like you said, the writer of the 3 Venom movies, plus the story of Cruella.
I see.
How that woman hated dogs or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, but she was justified in hating dogs.
Yeah, I think so. One pushed her mum off a cliff or something.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw that movie.
Yeah, and laughed about it.
It was pretty good for what it was.
Sure.
Caveat. Mason, so yeah, budget $120 million. The box office of this, it's not looking great. Variety are calling this series a downtrend.
Okay.
Or recognizing a downtrend, I should say. So
they must have gone pretty granular because it's kind of difficult. Like that level of, you know what I mean? Because
I'll give you some numbers.
Okay.
Want some numbers?
Yeah.
So the original had a 22 million US opening on its day one.
Okay.
Sorry, 32 million for the original one.
Okay.
37 million for the second.
Okay.
And this one has 22 million opening. That's just one day in the US.
All right.
The original made 856 million at the box office in 2018, which makes sense because that's Avengers, etc. era. The sequel only made 506 million, still hugely profitable, but that's quite a drop off.
Yeah. And so they decided this time, spend more, get less.
Get less.
That's our plan.
Exactly. So this is going to have a 65 million US opening, maybe a bit less.
Okay.
This is definitely a dying series. Flagging, one would even say, Mason.
Maybe.
Anyways.
The goo is drying out.
It certainly is. Anne Wenning is gone. Patrick Mulligan is reported dead. Rex Strickland is on the hunt.
What are you doing? Are you telling me?
What do you think the story
I was going to say,
was?
are you telling me what the story is?
Just setting the scene and the pace.
All right. Here we go. So
you don't like it when I do the story?
Don't take my bit. Don't take my bit where I pretend. I'm surprised that you've asked me what the story is. I was only surprised the first 100 times. Now I'm not surprised at all. All right. So Eddie Brock and Venom, they're back from their little trip to the MCU where they did nothing.
That's right.
Well, they left some stuff and they said some stuff.
Looked at the TV.
They went, boy, we got some stuff to do in this universe. But now they're back. And they've learned that they're wanted for a murder they didn't commit.
Yep.
And probably a lot of crimes they actually did commit.
Yeah.
So they can't. And
they've been eating dudes.
Yeah. They've been in Mexico, but they can't go back to San Francisco where Eddie Brock is from because the heat's too much. So they're like, let's go to a place where there are no cops, New York City.
No, so they're going to bribe a judge or whatever. So you think you're going to get Venom in New York?
Well, yeah. So this is going to. So this. That's
Spider-Man, etc.
Well, yeah. So I mean, that's if you recall in the post credits of whichever one that was.
Yeah.
Venom's like, ooh, that's Spider-Man on the TV. We should go to New York.
Yeah.
To meet Spider-Man, and they're hoping we forget the reason that he was going to New York. Because now he's back in his own universe.
Spider-Man.
To meet Spider-Man. Anyway, that's the number one thing is they've got to go on a little road trip across America to get to New York City, baby. But also, a scientist with a tragic backstory is working on researching venoms in a secret lab under Area 50.
What's her backstory, would you
say? Her backstory, what I would say is that her backstory is that when she was young, her little brother wanted to be a NASA scientist, but then one day they both got struck by lightning on a beach, and he died. So she's decided to honor him. She'll become a scientist, and then she's ended up researching venoms in a secret lab under Area 51, which is closing down. Yep. So they've got to deal with that. But also,
they're dropping acid on things.
There's an acid dropping machine.
Don't worry about that, though.
It's an OH&S nightmare, if you ask me. Just an open-air acid dropping machine. It's not important. But also, third thing is that out in deep space, Null, who was the god of the symbiotes, who created the symbiotes, but they locked him up. They rebelled against him and locked him up because he was too evil. They've locked him up in a prison dimension space thing or whatever in space. And he's sending out monsters because he's got to track down something that can maybe release him
somehow got
and do a big evil.
He's got some of his portal powers back.
He does.
So he can send his monsters to different planets because he's looking for the codex, which is a key to help him escape.
Yeah. Now you might be wondering, will
here?
all of these three things, coalesce and join together into a satisfying ending to this movie and the conclusion of the Venom saga? No, but do we have a lot of fun along the way? Also, no, we don't.
Mason.
Yes.
These movies are bad.
I agree. I've been saying that. What I've been saying is I didn't like the last one, Venom, Let There Be Gooey Red Carnage. But if you ask me why, I couldn't tell you because I've forgotten. And I remember liking the first one. But if you were to be like, here's a quick recap
Lobster
of it,
Tank.
I might be like, this is bad.
The Lobster Tank bit.
Yeah, and
I liked the performance.
And it's the rom-com buddy cop element to it.
Yeah.
It's good work from Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock and Tom Hardy as Venom, playing across himself and each other to have a funny...
I can't understand Venom a lot of the time.
Right,
Is that just a me problem?
No, I don't think it is. Again,
Not like exclusively, but I feel like I'm missing jokes. Or they're not jokes.
I think it's a combination of sometimes it's happening when there's a lot of big action happening on screen, like he's hanging off the side of a plane or there's explosions or what have you, combined with the fact that a lot of the time sound systems in cinemas are not very good.
Okay.
And they've been in there for 20 years and they're malfunctioning and it's a bit muddy in there.
Yeah.
And everybody's on TikTok on their phones on full volume.
Tom Hardy does love a weird little voice though, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? Yes.
We can't understand him.
Yeah.
Now, me and you were speaking to my son before this. And he said, we asked about the Venom movie. He's like, what's the new Venom movie like? And I can't remember what we said. Probably it's bad. And then
I said, well.
Yeah.
And he said... Did you like the other ones? And I said no. and he said,
what? I can't remember we got to this, but we told him that there's no Spider-Man in these.
Yes.
And he went, what? And then he said,
because an 9-year-old,
yeah, 9-year-old,
his knowledge of the Marvel
he
universe,
hasn't seen any Venom stuff.
No, but he is aware from probably Lego Spider-Man or Lego Marvel or whatever. That Venom and Spider-Man are very extremely linked.
And you said, well, the thing is, in the comics, Venom, he has the rivalry with Spider-Man, but he eventually goes out on his own and he decides to become an anti-hero and the lethal protector. And then he said...
I did say that. I did say all those trademark terms.
That's right. And then he said, how does he become Venom then? And I said, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Which is true. I guess he found a symbiote came to Earth. That's all
he goes into a lab.
Yeah.
He goes into that lab.
Does it? Or I'm thinking of Spider-Man 3 where a comet landed near him.
Yes, no, that's yeah. But in this one, Eddie Brock goes to investigate a lab and there's a Venom there.
Okay.
You know?
That's great.
Yeah, it is great, isn't it?
Yeah. I just, I don't know, man.
Okay, here's what's good. I'll tell you what. This is, for the listeners here, and I'll remind you of this, James, this is a scene in the movie, this current movie, that I think is emblematic of this movie as a whole. It's a microcosm of this movie.
Okay.
There's a moment where Chiwetel Ejiofor, as the military general Rex Strickland, he's speaking to his shadowy, mysterious superiors over a shadowy, mysterious Zoom call.
Ooh.
And he says, I'm going to go in and get Eddie Brock. I'm going to capture Venom. But I need full control over the Six. And then the shadowy, mysterious general, he goes, yes, you have approval to deploy the Six.
We're like, whoa.
And at this point in the movie, I'm like, well, there's been enough kind of legwork to establish at this point that the Six that they've said so dramatically, it's probably some kind of team of symbiote bonded special forces soldiers, all of whom have like distinctive personalities, and they use the goo in tactical ways that we've not seen before.
One's gold, maybe.
Exactly, and probably Venom, Eddie Brock will be defeated, but then he'll learn from that, and then maybe later he'll convince some of them to change their ways or what have you. But anyway, it turns out the Six are just 6 guys
who are easily killed.
Yeah, they're just
Tom Hardy shoots one.
They're just 6.
Not when he's Venom.
No, but there's 6 No, see, here's the thing. You're thinking of a different thing.
Am
The
I?
6 that he's gotten to deploy, they're just 6 anonymous black-suited soldiers hanging off a helicopter, and they're identical to a bunch of other black-suited soldiers hanging off a helicopter from earlier.
The one he shoots underwater, that's not
That's
one of
not
the
the
ones
6. That's the previous guys.
Oh.
So, like, and I'm not even sure there were 6. The 6 that he deploys are the 6 that show up in Las Vegas later and crash in on the hotel room.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
the 6.
That's the 6.
But
I mean, you could also do... I mean, they were never going to do this,
I don't even
obviously.
know if there were 6 of them.
Sinister 6, obviously.
Yeah, right. I guess.
Obviously.
But the foreshadowing of this movie suggests that the 6 are going to be symbiote guys, and I think probably at some point they might have been.
Yeah.
But at a synopsis level or a screenwriting level or a filmmaking level or an editing level, they chopped that out, but they had to leave the line because they're like, well, we filmed this.
What's also strange is like, and this is a slight spoiler, there are a bunch of other Venoms in
That's
this.
what I'm saying.
Like, what are we doing?
I'm going to talk about that in spoilers.
What are we doing?
I'm going to talk about it in spoilers, and I think I'll tell you where I thought this was going to go before they were like, that seems too expensive, so we'll just use random special forces guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, strength of this movie, I think Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he's good.
Is good. He's sweatier and more shambling than ever.
Yeah.
He's hung over the entire movie. I
Wears
think that's
his
quite
shoes.
funny.
Yeah.
Where's his shoes? Why can't Venom make him shoes?
Why can't Venom disguise him?
That's never been a thing in these movies for some reason.
No.
It's in all other Venom
It's
media.
either on or it's off.
Yeah, in all other Venom media, Venom can turn into just street clothes.
Yeah.
But in this, he just can't, I guess.
He hasn't learnt it yet.
No. And so what this movie ultimately is, I think, the problem with it, and as I mentioned, there's these 3 things that are happening all at once. It's that they want this to be a series of kind of loosely connected funny skits of stuff Eddie and Venom get up to, like their various hijinks.
Yeah.
But they also want he's on the run for murder, and they also want, and there's a team of special forces guys who want to capture him and experiment on him, and also there's a god being that wants to end the world. And I don't think they can have it all. I don't think it works.
They definitely can't.
No.
They definitely can't balance all of those things.
And also, like you mentioned, there's characters that have been given backstories that don't culminate in anything.
No.
And there's characters that are significant in the comic books. Chiwetel Ejiofor's character is significant in the comic books.
Sure.
And this is just some guy in name only.
It's strange that like Chiwetel Ejiofor and Rhys Ifans are in this movie, and Rhys Ifans has been in Spider-Man.
Yes.
He was the Lizard.
Yeah.
Recently, again.
Yeah.
And
was he there in person for any of that?
probably not. They used some existing footage for it to actually put him in.
And he was
he
was in the booth.
And he was and fucking
The Sony torture
Chiwetel
booth.
Ejiofor is Baron fucking Mordo. Like, what's happening?
I don't know.
I mean, I know it's a multiverse thing,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. So I
And
guess
it also doesn't
faces are
matter,
similar.
yeah.
It also doesn't matter. Yeah, he's something that is good. Sometimes the Venom is a fish or a frog or a horse.
Right, yes.
But all of that was revealed beforehand.
That's true,
And they
yeah.
also didn't do anything with it.
No.
I want to see a frog Venom do something.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, you get the horse running, but again, that was in the trailer, and that was the bit where we went maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, they got
But
us
we
again.
were wrong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen this if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I tell you that much. I would have heard what people have said about it and been like, "Oh, it's this again." is
Yeah,
it?
so it doesn't really. It just sort of. There's a lot going on, but also next to nothing going on, really.
You know what's also not going on?
What's that?
The goo that was left in the MCU, which was then left in
The MC goo?
The MC goo. So
Yeah.
at the end of the No Way Home post credits, Venom is sucked out of his unit, the MCU, and he leaves some goo on the bar.
Yeah.
And then he's back in a pretty much identical bar with the same bartender.
Where he leaves some more goo.
Which I think some of that is a reshoot where they realized they'd fucked up some dimensional shit.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that
Yeah.
for a fact.
Uh-huh.
And then so there's goo left in the MCU, with the implication being that it'll get to Spider-Man or do something.
Yeah,
but that's never coming back.
Probably not, no.
I mean, because they'd have to reference.
No, but see, that's the thing. They're relying on sort of remembering the stuff that sort of happened. Some goo was left on a bar in the previous movie, and some goo is left on the bar in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so like
We've got to remember
they covered it.
Yeah, they covered it.
They
Yeah.
seemingly.
Yeah,
I'd forgotten also.
Yeah,
like
right,
I didn't
right.
remember. I had to look that up because
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the end of that. I was also curious about whether the portal effect was the same, and it's sort of not. But they
Right,
cut away
okay.
from it, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It ultimately
you know what
doesn't
also
matter.
you know what also I think maybe is to the detriment of these movies
Yeah.
Eddie Brock doesn't have any friends.
No, he's got Anne Wenning.
Well, see, that's the thing. All like Mrs. Chen
and Venom.
But I guess they're trying to be like, well, it's just these two against the world kind of thing. It's kind of like Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Incredible Hulk. It's in that TV series every week he went to a different town, and then he got in some trouble and he turned to the Hulk, and then he left and it was sad music and he moved on again.
It was, wasn't it?
But this one is sort of relying on the idea of we've been through a lot, haven't we, buddy? And this is a real look at our fabulous memories or whatever. But there's no one really to share that with.
No.
Because there's nobody who's really carried on. Besides Mrs. Chen, there's no one who's really carried on. He doesn't...
I guess that's why she reappears in this.
That's exactly why.
They've got no one else,
They've got no one else. Yeah. The idea of this being a tearful finale for Venom, I think would work better if we saw some people he'd connected with in the past and we saw what they'd been up to in this,
Like the shopkeeper from two of those movies. Like
Mrs. Chen,
like that's what they're going. Even if he ran into Morbius in Vegas, that would be like real. Okay, at least you'd be like, well, that's someone, I guess.
I mean, I guess this is also not this movie's fault. If they'd given him a supporting cast that stuck around,
sure,
then that would...
You mean like another person?
One more person would be fine. One more person would be great. The action in this is
all right.
It's okay, but
they're called the villains,
xenophage. So Null.
I like their big buzzsaw blender head.
Yeah, okay, it's I guess, but it's also one of those things where the xenophages are indestructible to some degree, and so are Venoms. Yeah. So it's just goos slapping into each other. And if you're into that thing, that's great.
You know what I'm not into?
What's that?
In the opening of this, we see Canal, and he just gives all the information you need to know about the Codex, etc., and how the Codex works, and the Codex being the key that gets him out, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Which is a terrible start to anything.
Absolutely.
Just like an exposition dump. And then I'm going to send my minions, etc.
Uh-huh.
And then I don't know, I must have dozed off or I missed it. But like, it's later explained that Venom is the one with the Codex.
Yeah, so...
And apparently the reason, because I had to Wikipedia this.
I'll tell you because I was awake. So in order to... So Null is trapped in a sort of prison because he was too evil and the symbiotes trapped him there. And he wants to escape so he can destroy the universe or whatever. He's the big bad. He's the Thanos guy.
Yeah.
And so the way to unlock his prison is he needs something called a Codex. Once he gets the Codex to his planet...
It's in Venom Lethal Protector, the comic.
Yeah.
Is that the one? No.
Yes, but it operates differently in the comic book. So in this universe...
Because that villain's
a Codex
actually in it.
comes about if someone is bonded to a symbiote and then they die... and then they're brought back to life by the symbiote, and that creates a codex. So Venom died in... Eddie Brock died in Venom 1 or Venom 2. One of those. He died. There's a flashback to it. He gets stabbed through the chest, and I guess he died, and then Venom brought him back to life, which has created a codex. So the xenophages they have a sort of grayscale vision, but when Venom and Eddie are in full Venom mode, the full giant Venom mode, these xenophages can see the codex and they charge towards it. But when he's not in full Venom form, they can't see it. He's basically invisible.
Yeah. But nobody else is.
No. I would also... Why is he the only one this has ever happened to?
Well, that's a great question.
And why... If there are so many other Venom... if there are so many other... there's Toxin and Riot and Jam Jar and whatever, then... Why wouldn't he just get... And they're all like very inexperienced.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Null just get one of his monsters to kill one of them, and then it would bring them back, and then it would have a codex, and then he could just use them?
It's a good question.
Why does he have to track down Venom? What's the...
Yeah, I thought there must have been a better reason for this, but there's not. That's the reason, right? It's not like he was an original or... He tussled with Canal at one point and stole a bit of his whatever.
So in the
he
comic
just died
books,
once.
In the comic books, the lore is that
this is the 2018 Venom comic, which we're covering coming up.
Yeah, all the symbiotes have a codex in them, and it's sort of like it collects all their core memories. So and it's just sort of a convenient way to say they all have a hive mind.
Yeah.
And if the human dies or the symbiote dies, and you need to bring them back for a later storyline, you can just say, well, we recovered the codex and we've squirted all the memories back into it. Yeah, exactly, and it's back. They're back now, kind of thing. But in this, there's only one. Yeah. It's very conveniently in Venom.
I agree. Also, this is a road trip movie.
It is, yeah.
Because there's a bunch of it spent in a van.
With Rhys Ifans. Rhys Ifans plays a kind of hippie type who is road tripping
like,
with his
no
family.
way, man.
Yeah, he's road tripping
Peace
with his
and
family
love.
to Area 51 because it's been closed down.
Yep.
And they're melting everything with an acid machine. And he wants to go there before they close it down in the hopes that he'll see an alien.
Yeah.
And then the rest of his family sort of reluctantly going on and sort of humoring him. And then they get there. It's like a day before Area 51 is closing and nobody else is there.
No.
Did you find that odd?
That was very strange, wasn't it?
Like nobody else would go?
Yeah. God, no good. And also, look, we'll save this for the spoilers, I guess. But there is a mid-credits and a post-credits. And
you said I should stick around because they're
no,
really good.
I said do not stay. I know you think that like, I got to see this now that
old James, Mr. Sunday Movies himself said it's not worth it. And I said James loves all movies and everything and he sticks around for the credits. He said, you say I just want to support the people. I clap for everybody
I don't want that.
on the crew.
I don't. Putting these in is fucking dirtbag behavior. That is taking advantage of people's goodwill, Mason. Mine in particular.
Okay. All right.
Because I was late coming back to record with you because I was sitting in the fucking theater for an extra 20 minutes to see nothing.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it was me and another guy who stayed. And I was the cinema employee's waiting, and I'm like, I hate doing this. And then as I'm leaving, I said, thank you. And then the guy who was with me bailed up the cinema employee about what they're going to do with Venom next.
Oh, the future of the franchise.
Yeah, and I just wanted to be like, leave him alone.
We should have cards. We should have business cards, and we should be like, buddy, don't talk to this guy. It should be like, it should say, don't bail up cinema employees. Listen to the Weekly Planet podcast.
You're right.
And there's a QR code.
There's a QR code.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Let's do some spoilers.
Okay. I'm going to say, alas, it's the worst movie ever.
It is the worst movie ever. I think if they had, because this is how my brain works. If Tom Holland had have been in a post credits, it would have bumped it up slightly for me.
Right, okay.
To be something.
Yeah, okay.
But this is.
How do you think they would tie that in, though?
They just put him in it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. And they'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the post credits,
like they did.
which we'll get to, is it again. It's some elements where.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get to the post credits, so big spoilers for this movie.
It's less than nothing.
Yeah.
What they did.
So big spoiler time for the movie. We learn that Venom's got the Codex in him, and if Null gets the Codex, he'll destroy the universe or whatever.
Yep. And also the Venoms are good now.
Yeah. So if Venom, if either Eddie or the symbiote die, the Codex will be destroyed forever. So the narrative thrust of this movie, the dilemma is one of them going to die, or are they going to escape certain death, or is one of them going to make the sacrifice, and they're best friends and what have you, and it's going to be a big deal. And the answer is that it all culminates. Everybody gets captured and ends up in Area 51.
Yep.
In the base.
Yep.
And then all the xenophages show up. Well, actually, Eddie and Venom get captured
and separated.
Well, they get captured because they both know that if they turn into full Venom form, the xenophage will know and will get them.
But how would they get captured if they didn't have because they wouldn't just do that, would they?
No, they just do it. They do it because Mrs. Chen is there.
Yeah.
And Venom's like, I want to do a dance, and so he turns into full Venom, and then
he's immediately captured.
And which I would, but as is shown in the movie repeatedly, if he just sort of goops out, that doesn't count.
No, he has to fully cover.
So he could just goop out of Eddie and just do a little dance, and it wouldn't matter, would it?
No.
But he simply must.
But he danced for 20 seconds.
The plot requires him to be captured. So they're like, well, what if he's absolutely compelled to turn into Venom?
Had to do it.
So that happens. So he gets captured. They all go to Area 51 where he's there, and all the other symbiotes are there, and then all the xenophages show up.
Yep.
And
they think they're killing them, but they're not.
But also, James, then all the other symbiotes, they loop onto various people who work in the facility, and then they fight the xenophages as well, and then Venom's like, they try various methods to destroy these things, and nobody has a moment of revelation where they go, oh my God, they're like this, so maybe we can defeat them or whatever. They just blow some stuff up and it doesn't work.
Yep.
And they chop their heads off and that doesn't work.
Either.
And then eventually Venom's just like, I'll drag him into the acid machine.
Yeah.
And then that just does work.
Well, they did come back.
Yeah.
That acid machine we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about from earlier.
Another thing does come back. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Sure.
Oh, but also, and then the whole facility is self-destructing and it's all exploding and what have you. Venom sacrifices himself. He all melts, but Eddie gets in the van with the hippies.
No, he gets under a door.
Oh, he does get under a door, and then yeah, and then, but then the whole facility is blowing up, and one of the scientists there, she's going to get caught in the explosion and die. But the scientist who has the tragic backstory, she's taken a symbiote sample. She's got it in her pocket.
Yep.
And she breaks it open, and it turns her into like Lady Flash Venom.
Yeah,
so
Venom.
So she's a symbiote, but she's also electric and super fast. And so she runs in and she rescues
Juno
it.
Temple.
It is Juno Temple. She's in Ted
Lasso, etc.
and other things, and she's in this.
She's in The Dark Knight Rises.
And that the question then is, did her DNA collect getting struck by lightning? And
Yes.
is that why her symbiote is super fast?
Yes,
and has lightning
Mason.
powers. Okay. Her DNA was imprinted by being struck by lightning.
What's the difference between like getting a Venom symbiote and just getting a little bit of Venom?
It's hard to say, isn't it?
Does one mean you've got a personality?
Oh, yeah, because
Like,
none of them do seem to have...
No, because they do have split personality. But then the big red Venom from the previous one, that was that one guy? Because he was an offshoot of Venom.
Oh, right.
We'd have to think about it. No.
We'd have to think, I don't want to think about it. Or we could just watch a series of videos of Tom Hardy being interviewed where he's just, or the director being interviewed where they're just sort of making stuff up on the fly and it becoming canon.
I would love that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So I think there was going to be a moment where, in this movie, where the Six were going to be special forces guys.
Yeah.
Who were
because there's a big one and another one.
Yeah, because they've collected all the different symbiotes and they're in, holding containers in this facility. And I think initially there was going to be a plan where they're bonded to special forces soldiers and they get sent out to capture Venom, but then they're all destroyed by the xenophages because they're not properly connected to them or what have you. And then later in the movie, because the scientists, they're capable of emotion and they're bonded with them and they're friends and they've got,
they hang out in the facility.
They hang out and whatever, then they're better connected to the symbiotes or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that would make more sense, right?
It would make more sense.
It would make some sense.
It would make some sense.
But I think they're just like, yeah, well, we don't have the budget to do 2 symbiote action sequences with 6 symbiotes, so we'll just do it once. But I'll leave in the line about it deploying the 6 because that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
A really cool thing to do.
God, so then Venom's dead, and finally Tom Hardy ends up in New York.
Yep.
And he's like, I'll never forget you. And then we get a montage of them hanging out over previous movies.
Just flinging stuff.
They don't even do the lobster bit.
Yeah,
I
right.
think.
Yeah.
And then that's nothing, obviously.
It's obviously
And then
nothing.
the movie ends, but you think it has ended, but then it hasn't really ended because there's a mid-credit scene.
Okay, so there's a mid-credit scene and it's just a shot. We zoom in.
Because Null died when they destroyed the Codex or was trapped forever.
Did they? Oh yeah, he sort of recedes. He sort of recedes in the shadow.
And then Andy Serkis's Null goes in the thing.
Yeah. I guess it's Andy.
And then he goes, I'll be back, or I'm back.
Yeah, the mid-credit sequence, he comes back and he's like, oh, I'm back and I'm going to destroy the Earth. Why do you care about the Earth?
Do you think it's because that's in the implication that Venom is alive? I mean, Venom is alive.
Well, Venom is alive. Well, here's the thing. The second post-credits, so earlier in the movie, the Special Forces guys abduct the bartender from the start of the movie because they think he might know something. And then we don't see him for the rest of the movie. And then the post-credit sequence, he emerges from the Area 51 facility. He hasn't been acided to death, as you might have imagined. But then he just wanders around for a bit, and then we see the broken container that Juno Temple got her Lady Flash Venom symbiote out of, and there's probably still some goop in it.
Yeah.
And then a cockroach, which he said earlier can survive anything.
Oh yeah.
Goes up and approaches the
Even
vial,
an acid bath.
and then the movie ends. So I think the implication there would be you want to bring because that goop came from Venom. I think that's the collected goop from Venom.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh, great.
And then combined with Juno Temple being struck by lightning as a teenager.
Why did that one have electricity? Because she broke it, I guess.
I guess. And the DNA, the lightning DNA.
You would even think that because Venom licked the Spider-Man screen in the previous movie that he'd have the Spider-Man symbol.
He never has the Spider-Man symbol. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Not even for a moment. There should have even just a moment where he leaps through the air and it briefly becomes the spider emblem or whatever.
That would have made us happy.
Right? We would have bumped it up. It still would be the worst movie ever, alas. I wish it were better.
Me too.
But I think probably they're just going to go, okay, if they need to bring him back for another movie, seems unlikely, or a MCU excursion.
Yeah.
They'll just say they'll just go, oh, that cockroach got venomized, and there was enough venom DNA on that thing, and they've all got a hive mind, and then the cockroach is going to fly across country to New York, and
he also left himself in the MCU. So they could also use that.
They could do that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's good.
There's no rules to this, so it doesn't matter.
This is via THR. This is Kelly Marcel, director on Venom 4. She said, yes, it's the end of a contract. We were asked to do 3.
Oh, what a beautiful thing to say.
We were asked to do 3. We've delivered 3. And who knows what the future holds. I hope that we've laid the groundwork for them in this third movie with other characters and other symbiotes and bad guys they can run with, should they choose. But this is the last one for Venom and Eddie. We have definitely given it forethought, so we definitely know what these stories could be.
Forethought.
Oh, we definitely know what
Forethought.
Oh.
We
definitely know what these stories could be, should they want them. We definitely know what these stories could be.
Yeah, we definitely know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean... And as well with this movie, I struggle to remember which of those symbiotes have been in previous movies.
Any of them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
One was brown and one was red.
One was punchy.
One was a sort of a squid.
Yeah, one had a big long fish tail, like an eel or something.
Yeah.
Also,
there's no reason for that character to be in this movie.
The cop.
It's Stephen Graham.
He was in the last one.
He was in the last one.
Is that good enough for you?
But I guess if he died, then he would also have a codex. Or something.
No, but if he died, he wouldn't have a coat. Oh, wait.
If he died and then he would...
But he would have had to have come back. He would have died and then come back and then he would get the codex.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Also, wasn't the plot of the first movie that the evil symbiote wanted to get back to its home planet?
Yeah, there was a bunch of them on a rock.
But why would you if it's the home of Null the evil guy?
Because it's cool there. Well, it's also in the comic, it's you think that it is this planet of symbiotes, but it's not. The whole thing is a prison for Canal.
Okay, but why would the first guy want to get back to it?
Why does anybody want anything,
I don't
Mason?
know. You did see his sword for a second, though. I don't know if you...
No, I didn't say that.
You see his sword for a second.
Venom's sword.
The black evil sword from Thor, the worst Thor. So, that's a fun little connection, isn't it?
Thor the Dark World's not the worst Thor, Mason.
I know.
You knew that. You knew that.
Yeah.
Mason, here's some reviews we got. This from Matt the Pharaoh Wizard, who says, Venom The Last Dance was terrible.
Uh-oh.
Not surprised that it feels like the trailer was made first for people. Then people made the movie around it. With both terrible mid and after credit scenes, could this be up for the Game Is On? Yes.
Certainly.
For those people who don't know, the Game Is On is an award we give at the end of the year for a movie which sets up a movie that's never going to happen. This is from Big Tasty, who says, Venom The Last Dance had the worst montage in a movie I've ever seen. Third act was fine, but I guess, but I'm just glad each symbiote got put in a blender. So
yeah, they all just. I mean, again, the thing about the symbiote, if we'd had a couple, if he'd had a couple of symbiote friends throughout the course of the movies, I'd be like, oh, it's that guy again or whatever. There's 2 that merged together. That was kind of a fun bit.
Two-head Venom.
Two-headed Venom.
Yeah.
But we don't know their names or anything. Again, they're confusing. They've got different colors with we're interested in anything about them. Like if you'd given them...
Wasn't Toxin green?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We'd know if they said or did anything memorable that wasn't just...
What if Carnage was in this? They just brought him back.
Yeah, right.
Or the guy from the first one.
Yeah, whatever that guy's
name was.
Yeah. But
Toxin.
It's not enough for them to just one be red and one be blue with tentacles and one have blade arms or
In
whatever.
addition to that, it's just nameless, faceless scientists.
Yeah.
One of which we sort of knew.
And one was the doorman?
One was the doorman. And I'm just glad each symbiote got put in a blender so this franchise with so much wasted potential can be put down. James Michael Parry says, just saw new Venom and Tom Hardy's dual performance still makes it. Bit of a silly mess plot-wise, but a fun time and a really good cast that probably deserved more to do. Well, what it means for the future SPUMM adventures is anyone's guess.
Oh, yeah, we're
worth watching.
We're 2 SPUMMs in for the year. Do we have another SPUMM left in us?
We do. We got one more SPUMM coming.
We do, yeah.
This is from Spaced Cactus, who says, Venom Last Dance seems completely improvised on the day. It's like they knew it was going to be awful and they brainstormed ideas on how to make it as absurd as possible. The fact this was released absolutely baffles me. Worst movie ever.
Yeah.
And Deej says, does Sony just make these movies and then not look at the reviews? Clearly they aren't doing anything that's working. Maybe stop trying to make Marvel adjacent movies and let Marvel have all their characters back and not this joint custody shit. Look, man, I like the idea of there being different Marvel universes.
Sure.
But when it's this sucks.
Yeah.
And it hurts everybody.
Yeah. Everybody in the world.
Yeah, we're We're all suffering, Mason.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it?
God.
Yeah.
Trash and poop.
Yeah. I mean, I did like, again, I like, it's in the trailer, the bit where Venom gets immediately addicted to gambling. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But it's, again, in the trailer.
Good.
We need more. It needed to, and I said this earlier, it needed to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
I think if it was just a road trip movie, would have been fun. But
even an on the run movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, we're going to New York, but are we?
Yeah, no, on the run would be great. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and he was.
He was for a bit. Was for a bit.
All right, Mason, should we move it along?
Why can't he make him shoes?
Why can't he make him
Why was he
shoes?
just like, because he can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why can he just not even, they wouldn't even have to look like shoes.
They could be goo shoes.
They could be goo shoes.
Look at my 2 goo shoes,
Right?
you could say. And then he does a little dance.
Yeah. That's what we're all after.
That's good.
That is good.
All right, everybody. Should we move it along?
Let's move it along.
To what?
What we reading.
What?
What we gonna read.
What?